Hey, yo, what's going on? This is your man, Big Stu, Scott Steward, or Professor Steward, depending on how you know me. Oh, I can add guests up in the broadcast. Depending on how you know me, what's going on seems like it is taking too long for some of y'all. But, first of all, for those who don't know me, because I understand there's people who don't know me, who are just meeting me, seeing this for the first time. My name is Scott Steward. I'm an 18-time award-winning teacher of entrepreneurship. Been teaching business and entrepreneurship in high schools in Chicago, middle school, high school, college age for more than 10 years, closer to 20 years. Fell into education. I'm a business guy. You know, I do have a master's degree. And I did that because it's like, you know, experience and knowing what you talk about outweighs all of that stuff. But I do have a master's degree. I'm a business guy that has a love and passion for entrepreneurship. And one of the things that I learned about this entrepreneurial journey that I've decided to share with the public, which is why I come on here, because I've come on here to be transparent and authentic and share my entrepreneurial journey towards becoming a multi-millionaire in business, a billionaire, quite honestly. And decided to bring you all on the journey about 6 or 7 years ago. And so why I do this, particularly these latest posts, is because I'm talking about things that entrepreneurs don't normally talk about. For the most part, people get on here and it ain't even really about people do, but it's easy to get on here when things are popping. What I find entrepreneurs need is to, like, when things ain't popping, how do we get through? How do we keep pushing? So I realize I can't motivate anybody. I'm not really trying to motivate anybody. I'm really just kind of just telling my story, and hopefully you get something out of it. So today what kind of hit me is like this idea about time, right? Just time. Like, I recognize that this could very well be my very last post. That's creepy, but like I have no true concept of time in the sense that, you know, we know it is calendar years and things of that nature. But like, let's see, I can launch this poll, launch a poll. Okay, so I did launch a poll. I thought I launched a poll. Yes. So answer this question. I launched a poll. You can check this out. Should have been more than that. Dang. But like, I've been like, this thing about time in business. Some people say, man, it's taking too long. You should have been on. Like, you ain't popping yet. Like, particularly I work with a lot of entertainers, singers, rappers and stuff. It's like, man, you've been doing this to like time. Like this thing about you too old. So first of all, I did a post a couple of weeks ago, but it's like, it's never too late. And then this other thing, like, how long should you pursue a thing before you give it up? And I was thinking about, I had this podcast for music, the only all Chicago hip hop show, Break Bread Radio, right? And I started doing that podcast in 2008. And I still do it today. It is 2021. It's about to be 2022. But I've done it for 14, well, this will be the 14th year. And while there are people who listen to it, like nobody knows about it. And I've been doing this thing for 14 years. And I'm doing it as a labor of love. I'm not doing it for necessarily the fanfare, but I do it because I still love it. And I think that's the answer to the question. Like, you do a thing as long as you are passionate about it and as long as you are loving it. So it's 10 years too long to wait for your business to pop. My answer is absolutely not, right? Like, mine is like, no, I don't think that's too long. Now, if you're constantly and here's the thing, like, you're not going to give up on your business if you're passionate about it. So if you're passionate about it and you love it, then that means you're always working to course correct. You're always working for it to be popping. If you are passionate and you are loving about that thing, then you'll never want to give up on it. You'll never give up on it, even if you make mistakes along the way, because your intention, your work, your demonstration is always on the improvement of that thing. Now, y'all know, and if you don't know, I always relate what's happening in the business world to what's happening in relationships in the real physical world. And I believe it's the same way. The only time a relationship doesn't work is when, because obviously you're talking about a relationship with more than one person, even though in business, in order to be really successful, you have to start relating with multiple people. But the only reason the relationship stops working, the only reason the business stops working is because somebody says, I quit. Somebody says, I quit. I don't want to do this anymore, and it's over. If you're a large business or you have multiple people, like I'm lucky in my business, there have been numerous people in my business that come through and be like, I quit. I can't do this. And I'm like, I appreciate it. Thank you for all that you've given. I got to keep going. And my business still exists. So I gave the example of the podcast, the Only Y'all Chicago Hip Hop Show. And the thing about it is, it's changed over the years, right? And so it started off with like hitting it hard, like going monthly, right? And then it became, 3 times a year, 4 times a year. And then it just simply became like real simplified, Christmas Eve. So that's a change. And then another change is like the name change. We had a brand change. So the podcast has now turned into a music streaming platform. So sometimes you may look at it like, oh, you don't do the podcast no more, or you don't do that thing no more. But then you got to appreciate like where you have developed and where you have grown, because you are constantly pouring into the thing. And if you're constantly pouring into it, then it's always evolving for the good. And if we could just step back for a moment and give ourselves a break as entrepreneurs, you would see that well, it may seem like this small thing that you started on has failed or has kind of gone away. You don't do that anymore. But then you turn around and you look at what you've built, and then you can appreciate the process more. So it is never too late, and there is no too long, so long as you are still loving and passionate about what you are doing. The same goes for your personal relationships. As long as you are still loving and passionate about the people that you're working with, right? Even if it's the idea of a thing, that's where these things come from. Don't let people fool you. I don't think you should let people fool, or you just like the idea of a thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. You get to pick and choose what people come on the journey with you. But yeah, absolutely. I like the idea of a successful business. I like the idea of a successful relationship. I like the idea of abundance. I like the idea of love. I like the idea of prosperity. Absolutely. Where the rubber meets the road is, are you going to put the action, the necessary action behind the liking or loving of the idea? And so some people, everybody moves at their own pace, right? And that's how it looks like some people got on faster than you or slower than you. Get comfortable with your pace. So I'm good and have always been good with that John Rogers model. Slow and steady wins the race. I've never been like a fast, super, go hard. That ain't even my style. My style has always been let it simmer. Let's throw it in the crock pot. You know what I'm saying? I never really been on the microwave tip, although I will use the microwave. Let's call it the cheat code. Okay, sometimes you need the microwave, but if I could prefer, I want to put it in the oven. That's how I roll. So even in my businesses, most of my relationships with people, friends, these are people that I've been in business or relationship with for years before and so they're solid, right? Because I'm here for brick. I'm here for brick and mortar. I'm here for, the integrity of why we doing the thing, like serving, right? The people, like making sure people, the quality of it. And so with all of that, it just takes time. You may look up and it may be 50 years you've been doing your business and you just getting on. Like you just got it. I may not see the wealth that I'm attempting to create. I may not realize all of that wealth. I've settled into the idea that I might not see the wealth in my lifetime. It may not be until my children and my grandchildren are able to experience. And so what I'm putting, and that takes time to even have the shifting of the mindset to put all that stuff into action. So my word of the day right now is like, everything take time, be cool, enjoy the seasons. It's already the end of 2021. It's bananas, right? It's just bananas how time goes. But I would just say, give yourself a break, like smell the roses, look at the sky, look at the trees. And I know that may sound corny. It probably sound corny because maybe it is corny, but I went to a funeral today. I've had a couple, I've experienced some death, and then as I think about my own mortality, like all of this is super important. Like it take time. It's like you got to be you got to make sure you're doing this for the love. Make sure you're doing this for the passion. You make sure you're doing this for the right reasons, so you can appreciate and enjoy it more. Right? So I'm headed back. My son killed this basketball game today, dominated, he in 7th grade, shut it down. Their team won, almost dubbed the other team. And I'm about to go back to the house and relax and try to just enjoy not having to do anything but think about the things that I love and am excited about, which are my family, my friends, and my businesses. Hey, y'all, you already know what it is. This is your man, Big Stu. Spread love today and be easy. Take your time. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the journey. You already know what it is. Until next time. Peace.